Hey, are you looking to create a set of financial projections for a franchise opportunity that you are considering? Maybe you're looking to get some financing to start a new franchise, maybe get a loan or secure some investment, or maybe you're just trying to do some internal planning and figure out which franchise opportunity looks like it could provide the best return for you, and you need to do some financial projections. Well, you've come to the right place, because in this video, I'm going to show you and walk you through the process of using a franchise disclosure document to create a set of financial projections. I'm going to do that using one of our templates. And so a little bit about me. My name is Adam Hoeksema. I'm the co-founder of Projection Hub, and we've helped over 50,000 entrepreneurs create financial projections for potential investors and lenders and internal planning. And specifically, what we're wanting to do here is help potential franchisees learn how to use a standard franchise disclosure document to create a set of reasonable projections. So what I'm going to do today is walk you through an example or a sample franchise disclosure document, show you where to get the right information, and then show you how to fit it into one of our templates. Or this could be useful for your own template, or if you're building something from scratch as well. Let's dive in. So I'm using our daycare facility template today, and I'll link to this template in the description of the video below. And so you'll be able to go grab this particular template if you want it. But there's also, we have a library of about 60 different templates. So really, whatever type of franchise you're looking to start, we probably have a base template that's going to be a really good starting point for you. And so today I'm going to look at what I am pretty sure is a fake sample franchise disclosure document that I found online for aardvarks only, a franchise that is a pet daycare. I'm going to be using our child daycare facility template here just to give you an idea. But the reality here, the important thing is that a franchise disclosure document is laid out in a similar format. It has 23 items, up to 23 items in the document. And the information that we'll find is in the same place in every franchise disclosure document. So the first thing we're going to do is just kind of scan through this. We're going to look at our table of contents. So first thing we're going to want is item 5, the initial fees. We're also going to look at item 6, other fees, item 7, estimated initial investment. And then the other key financial related item is item 19, financial performance representations. And I guess lastly, item 10 here could be useful to you depending on if the franchisor provides any sort of financing for franchisees. So let's first take a look at what we see in item 5. So this is page 7. All right, so item 5, your initial franchise fee is $15,000. And this outlines here some other initial costs. So I'm going to jump back to our template here, and on our input assumptions tab, this is where we'd want to put some of those initial costs, most likely. What I'm going to do for the initial franchise fee, I'm going to add this to our input other expenses tab. We're going to call this franchise fee. I'm going to call it a general and administrative expense. And this is a fixed dollar amount, and it was $15,000. And we're just going to pay that in month 1. All right, so jumping back in here, here's another example. So we've got a royalty, a franchise royalty, a 7% of gross revenue, which is very common for franchises to charge a percentage of revenue. So I'm going to show you in the template here how we can, let's call this the initial franchise fee, and then we'll call this a franchise royalty fee. Call it general administrative as well. But instead of being a fixed dollar amount, this is actually going to be a percentage of revenue. And we're going to enter it in as 0.07, which is how we enter in 7% in this model. We're going to stretch that across for the whole model. So this is going to add an expense as a percentage of revenue for the franchise royalty fee. And then you can see these other expenses. So I'm not going to go through and enter in every single expense. You don't need to watch that, but you get an idea. So there's also a local advertising fee that's 2% of revenue, a national advertising fee that's 1% of revenue. So you can enter in these specific expenses, and some of them are fixed per month. So this one, technology maintenance fee, this is a per month item. And so again, as you're in the template, you can, like this is $250 a month. We've already got that in there. For example, we could call this technology fee at that $250 fixed dollar amount per month. And you can see a whole list of fees. Now, we're going to keep going to item 7 now. This is the estimated initial investment. So we've already talked about that initial franchise fee, that $15,000. Now these are other estimated expenses, and they give you ranges. And so you're really going to need to do your own research or make estimates. If you're comparing two franchises, you're going to probably need to make some estimates on what you expect these costs to be for your specific plan. You can see there's quite a range here, $61,000 to $120,000. But I'll show you in our template here. So let's look at this. Furniture, fixtures, equipment, tools, and signage, $10,000 to $30,000. So I'll show you where to enter that. It's back on our input assumptions tab. We got furniture and fixtures here. We said it was $10,000 to $30,000 in the franchise disclosure document. We've got $20,000 entered in there. And so you'll be able to add specific fixed assets here that you expect. If it mentions inventory, that you're going to have initial inventory as part of your startup expenses, you can enter initial inventory here. And then we'll jump back in here. And so again, you'll be able to enter in all these expenses. One thing you'll notice is that there are some of these expenses that are really ongoing, like insurance. You're going to pay that ongoing, but you might have an initial kind of startup expense of those insurance costs that you'll pay at the beginning. And so again, where you want to put that is in the input other expenses. You'll see insurance here. So what you could do, if you think, for example, in month 1, you're going to have a big chunk of a payment. Maybe it's $3,000 for month 1, and then after that, maybe it's $500 a month. You're able to, enter in specific expenses for month 1, 2, and 3, kind of in that startup phase, and then month 1 through 5 for that startup phase, and then after that, we kind of we try to make it so you don't have to enter in expenses hundreds of times or every single month. We say, okay, what in year 2, what's the monthly expense for this category? You just put in $1 amount, and that will populate the model, the projection model, and use that monthly expense for the whole year. Now, I'm going to skip on down to item 19, because that is typically going to be a very important item for you. Now, every franchise is different, and this kind of outlines your options here. So it says the FTC's franchise rule permits a franchisor to provide information about actual or potential financial performance of its franchise and or its franchisor-owned outlets, so specific units. If there is any actual financial results that are provided from a specific unit of a daycare facility, for this example, those actual results would show up in item 19. Now, each franchisor has the opportunity to share this information or not to share the information in the franchise disclosure document. And so, if you're really wanting to make reasonable projections, find a franchisor that will share some information in item 19. That's really beneficial because it's going to give you actual results of revenue and expenses, profitability of specific units or averages across their entire footprint or a subset of their footprint. And so the data can really vary depending on the particular franchise. But this is where you want to look, item 19. So in this example, I wanted to find an example that doesn't show you anything in item 19, because now we need to go back and say, okay, what do we do when there's no information in item 19? So you're going to need to really work on your own revenue projections. In the other items that we already looked at, you did get a lot of information about ongoing expenses. And so you should have some idea of what the startup expenses should be and the ongoing expenses already from those other items. But what you're really missing is that input revenue, what the revenue projection should look like. And so I'm just going to show as an example in one of our templates. So we have about 60 different templates, and each template, the revenue model is very different. It's very customized per type of business. And so in this example, for a daycare facility, we've got these different categories of age groups and what the capacity is for a particular room for the infant room, and then what's the child to staff ratio that's required. It's a number of other assumptions. We have the ability to add, okay, how many different rooms do we actually have in the daycare facility? When will those rooms be open? What category of room are they? And then what is the rate that a customer would pay per hour or per month for a child in one of those rooms? And then basically what it also allows you to put in a max capacity field. So we are really here doing building out the actual assumptions and not just using franchisor data. Like, you really need to go in here. You need to figure out, hey, what do I think I can generate? What do I think my local market rate is for daycare for a month or for an hourly rate. And you're gonna have to do that research and fill out the model. And then, when you do have the ability to look at that item 19, what I would recommend is you fill out this information based on your local and your personal assumptions based on your business plan. Then when you get to the end in our at a glance tab, you'll get to see, okay, based on the assumptions that I entered, I'm projecting 1.6 million in revenue and 300,000 in net income and net 19% profit margin. And if there is any information in item 19, you can check and see, am I out in left field? Is 19% reasonable for this franchise? Should we be able to actually generate that much profitability? If you can't find information on a particular franchise, then I would suggest that you go and look at the industry information. So look up the daycare industry in general, Google, typical profit margins for daycares, and you should be able to find some information like this and see whether, are these margins reasonable? Is the revenue number reasonable? And that sort of thing. So, if there is no item 19 information, then I really urge you to go through and kind of do your own research, find out specific assumptions for your industry, for your type of business, and fill out one of our revenue models. And that's going to really help you drive home what is your specific business plan, not just what other people are experiencing, but what do you think you will be able to experience. And so when you start that business and when you go to the bank, if you're looking for a loan or a potential investor, you can really back it up with saying, hey, I did the research. These are my numbers. I actually think this is what we can execute and accomplish, not just, well, the franchise disclosure document says we're going to make 20% profit margin. I encourage you to do your own research. So when you're done, what you're going to be able to do here is you've got a nice at-a-glance tab in our models with different graphs and tables and charts. All of our models have a 5-year income statement, 5-year cash flow statement, 5-year balance sheet. So this is what you're going to need if you're trying to get bank financing to start a franchise. You're going to need a set of projections, and this is what your banker is going to be looking for. We also have a 5-year income statement broken down by month, and then the 5-year cash flow and 5-year balance sheet all broken down by month as well. So you have that monthly detail. You can see, hey, do we look like we're going to break even? When are we going to break even? When will we be profitable? Do we have enough cash when we're starting, and that sort of thing? It'll help you determine how much you need to borrow or raise in terms of investment. So one of the things that we love to do is help folks take the information in a franchise disclosure document and help fill out one of our templates and get them into a good spot as kind of a base model. So if that's something that's interesting to you, and say, hey, I've got a franchise disclosure document. I don't know how to mess around with Excel, or I don't have time to mess around with Excel, and I'd like someone to help me just get the information from a franchise disclosure document into one of our templates like this. Hey, reach out. We'd be happy to help. support@projectionhub.com is our email to reach out, or you can leave a comment in the comment section of the video below. And we'd love to try to help you and help you determine whether this franchise opportunity could be a good opportunity for you, and then really, how much funding are you going to need and to raise, and what is the bank and investors going to be looking for when they see that. So with that, happy to help. Reach out if you need some help, and we will follow up with you. Thanks.